To get started using Selenium in Python, visit this website, link is in the description, and copy this install manager code pip install WebDriver manager over here and run it. Next, we want Selenium 4, so copy paste this over here and run it. Next, visit this website, Selectors Hub XPath Helper. We will be using this for a lot of our tutorials. To practice coding, we will be using this website. Here is our required libraries. We will use driver webdriver.chrome, and then we will get this web page. Implicitly wait means we will wait up to 1 second for the link to occur, but we can always run it earlier. Next, we will ask driver to find all the elements by tag name, that is list items. So you click this, more tools, developer tools, and then our selector hub is right over here. Run this code. It will take a while. Since we were waiting up to 1 second for each list item, this code is checking all list items for the link that is dynamic loading. We are telling Selenium to automatically click the link with the text dynamic loading. We can see right here we have 44 list items. If you look for list items in here, notice that we have 44 matching elements on this web page, which should match 44 elements over here. If we run this page, we will go to the dynamic loading page, and we will look for all the links and print them out over here. Here we want to use Selenium to click the start button. So first we need to import Selenium's WebDriver, and we need to import by so we can find the element by XPath. So we will be using the Chrome driver, and we will get this website. We will maximize this is optional, maximize the driver window and print out the driver title. This was this title right here, the internet, and it prints out right here. To find this XPath using Selector Hub, we click this, more tools, developer tools, and then we see Selectors Hub right here. We click this arrow, and then we click the start button, and then we see relative XPath // button normalize space start, and we just copy it right here. So driver dot find element by XPath, and then we put this in quotations, and then we will name this the start button, and then we will click it, and when we run this code we see what would happen. We want to use Selenium to automatically log into a website for us, so we need to import Selenium WebDriver and import by so we can find elements by something. This string contains the URL we will be using, this string contains the username, and this string contains the password. We call it the Chrome WebDriver, and we get the URL for the driver. Next, we want to find this username field. So we click this, more tools, developer tools, get over to Selector Hub. We won't be actually using it this time. Click this, and then go to the username. And we see the ID right here is ID username, which is this right here. Now we want to find the password. So we click on password, and the ID is password. Now we want to find the login button. Login button is right here. The ID is login button, and we put it in right here. We also want to check if the attribute is disabled. We can see from reading the code that it is not disabled, but we want to assert to check for it anyways. If it is not disabled, then we can click the login button. Now that we have the username field, we can send keys to send the username into the username field. As you can see, standard user is put into the username field. We can also do that with the password. Click the login button. And then check that we actually are logged in. So we see we have successfully logged in, and we have this class title called products, which is this right here. If we do not see an error code, then the assertion is true. If our assertion was wrong, we will see an error code like this. In this tutorial, we will use Selenium to find and click on this forgot your password link. So we will need to use WebDriver Chrome, so we need to import it, and we will find this link using by XPath. So we will need to import by XPath. We will get this URL and implicitly wait up to 3 seconds. Implicitly wait means we will wait up to 3 seconds for the driver to find this element. If we find it before the 3 seconds, we will go ahead and run the next line of code. We will use the driver to hit the back button, forward button, back button, and then close the window. So to find this XPath, we come here, more tools, developer tools, go over to Selectors Hub, click this, and then click this. And then we see the relative XPath is this line of code right here, which we have pasted right here. In this tutorial, we will be changing window sizes using Selenium. So we will import WebDriver from the Selenium library, and we will import time so that every 4 seconds we can change the window size. We will call the Chrome WebDriver and get this website. Here is a list of tuples of the viewports that we will be using. So for every viewport, we extract the width and height from the tuple, and then we set the window size, wait 4 seconds, and then when we are done with the entire list of tuples, we will close our driver. In this tutorial, we will be manipulating checkboxes using this website. If you click on it and then you hit the spacebar, notice that you can select and unselect these checkboxes using the spacebar. We will also be using JavaScript. So this function execute script allows us to execute JavaScript in the current window or frame. So if you Google Selenium JavaScript, scroll to the bottom of the page, you will see this result, and this is the code that I am using. So we will execute script window scroll to from 0, that is the top, to document.body.scroll height, which is the bottom of the document. Some elements will not be loaded unless you scroll all the way down and see the element. Now we want to find this Saturday button to click on. And we see from Selector Hub, /label, and then this is the path, XPath, that we will be using. After we copy and paste it in, we will be running the .click on it. Now suppose we want to click all of the checkboxes. So we have 7 of them. And we start taking a look at them. So we notice that their input and type is checkbox for all of them. Also name, result, checkbox, -8, or a class, multiple choice. These are all choices that we can use. So we go to this website for XPath syntax, and we see the way to do it is we use the /, and then we use the title of the element that we want. Here it would be input. And then you use square bracket, and then you use ampersand for the checkboxes. Also notice that we are using find elements because we want a list of all the elements. Up here, we only found one element that we wanted. This part is optional, where for every checkbox that you click, you count one, and then you check at the end that you counted all 7 checkboxes because there are 7 days in the week. Notice also that we could have used name, results, checkboxes, which I have done down here. Or input class multiple choice animate. HTML interprets a space as a different class. Only some of them are both multiple choice and animate, but all of them are multiple choice. So what we want is multiple choice. But if you saw it, female over in gender also got selected. Meaning, if you click on this, you'll see class multiple choice animate. So we did not want that for this radio button. Some websites will block Selenium's click. Notice this error message, meaning that Selenium was blocked. To get around this, we can try using JavaScript. The way to do it is to Google JavaScript click in Selenium, and you will get the code for arguments, bracket 0, click. So here you see it worked. In this tutorial, I will be showing you how to work with dropdowns using Selenium. When available, select makes this process very easy. But as you can see, we only have 2 selects available. This old style select and this multi-style select. When select is available, we can see our options. So what about the other ones? Let me show you. Here we see our division has ID with opt group. We load our driver, and then we get this website, and then we will wait up until 10 seconds. So if you hover over this, you will see driver. It takes the driver, and it has the timeout. So we will wait up until 10 seconds to timeout. The poll frequency is every half seconds. So every half second, it will check to see if the element is clickable. After we see that our element is clickable, we click down on the drop-down element. And when we click down the drop-down elements, we see our list of options. This is very difficult to actually find. So we will be using contains text, and then we want to just use the text of the option that we want. And then we will click it, and then we will pause for observation. To get this X path, we click this, and then click this right here, and then you can see this is the X path that we copy and paste in right here. We will use the down arrows. So we will use our division ID, select one, and then we put this double forward slash input to make sure that the presence of this element is located. And this will be our input field. Once this element has been located, we will use the down arrow twice and select enter. So we will be picking 1, 2, the misses. This actually has the select element on it. This has the select element, which makes it easier to use. So we can select by index 0, 1. As you can see, the second element was selected blue. For the multi-select down, we will use the same strategy as above, where we just find the division ID and then look for the text that we want. So here we will be selecting green and black. So we will wait for the element to be clickable. This is the relative path that I have used over here. Finally, we will select these values. This actually has the select options. And we see the value does not have uppercase. So select by value, we use Volvo lowercase. Whereas select by visible text, we see that Audi is capitalized. So we use this value. In this tutorial, we will be scraping this web table right here, switching tabs, and inserting the data that we had just scraped into this practice form right here. So it's going to look something like this. So you see there was a delay, so that's why we wanted to use implicitly wait 3 over here. So let me explain how I got to this code. So we called Chrome WebDriver, and then we open up our first tab, this web table page right here. And then we use driver.switch to new window to get this new window right here. And we want to get this website form right here. So driver.window handles is what we use to switch between tabs. The tabs will have these hash, which isn't really important, but you can see that the length of Windows handles is 2, meaning we have 2 tabs. Driver Windows handles 0 will be our first tab. Second tab will be driver.window handles square bracket 1. Now, we want to make sure that we are on the first tab, so if driver current window handle is not the first tab, then we will switch to the first tab. Then we will want to find our table. The way I did that was I just clicked this, make sure you have selector sub over here, and then I tried to find the table. It was kind of difficult. Oh, there it is. We will find the element by class name, rt-t body. Next thing I did was I printed the table text and see what I was working with. You can see all the text we want is right here. We have Sierra Vega and her email address. So if you run table.text, you will see this instead. Initially, I wanted to call this, and then I saw it was C. So I'm guessing it's a text string. Yep, it is a text string. So I looked up on Stack Overflow how to separate the text string, and I got this line of code right here. Okay, so this error is because I had closed this window. So to fix that, you would run this again. Make sure this is still open, and then you should be able to run this line of code. So we were able to split Sierra and her email address over here. Also, you also have to be on the correct tab. So this split has to be up on this line of code. Next, we go over here, and then we want to find out where our elements are, the form elements. And that is relatively easy. So all you do is you click this, make sure you have selector sub. Actually, you don't even need it. You click on it, and you can see the ID is first name. The ID of last name is right there. And the ID of this email is user email. So we just find an element by ID using first name, last name, user email, and then we select the element, and then we just send keys the text that we had just split 0, 1, and 3 because number 2 is actually her age. So there you go, how to scrape text from one table and put it into another form. In this tutorial, we will be scraping best fight odds and saving the fighter name and their best bet. As you can see, I have already scraped the data, and I am just talking about how I did it. The reason why I'm doing a CSV file for every fight is that if our bot crashes or if we somehow get banned, we don't lose all of our work. So we save a file for every match, and it is relatively easy to clean the data and put all of this into one file. We will start by kind of playing around with best fight odds and figuring out how this query works, because we want to query from 250 all the way to 300 or whatever the most current match is. So let's say we search for a match and we see that the first thing that pops up is UFC 300. If we click on it, we see that it has some kind of format, best fight odds, events, UFC 300, and then there's like some other trailing characters that we don't really care about. We are looking for a query that starts with our target format string. If we find a match, we save the link and break away. If we list through all of our anchor reference and we find nothing, we print out that, hey, we found no match for whatever this event. Otherwise, we driver get the link. So you kind of have to explore how the query works, and you kind of see that this is the pattern that happens. That you have bestfightodds.com search query equals UFC plus whatever the index is that you want for your UFC fight. After we have scraped the text, I initially wanted to get the name of the betting website, but I ended up not using it. The way I did it was I came over here and I clicked on this, and you kind of have to know some kind of understanding of how XPath syntax works. So you click on the text and you see that it is TH, table header, and there's actually all of these are table headers. And you want to go to the first one because you want to kind of travel up the XPath. So we see that TH is the last one, and then above that is TR, T head, and then we have table of the class odds table, and we see there's only one odds table, so that's what we're gonna go off of. So we want this select all elements, no matter where they are in the document, that are table with square bracket class that is odds table, and then inside that we want to travel downward and select all the elements that are the children of whatever that is. So that's how we ended up with this path. And as you can see, there's only one odds table. You can check in here that there is indeed only one odds table, and that there should be a whole bunch of table headers. Yeah, you can see that these are the table headers. If you click on it, you can see that they are the text that we want. They have the text that we want. And then we want to scrape the name of the fighters. So where did I put those? Okay, so you want to click on the top one because it's just easier to travel up. And we can see that it is the span class T-B-FCC. So that is what we have over here. And then above that, it should be the span. Let's see. Yeah, span class T-B-FCC. And above that, we have the A. We have the scope row. Yeah, above that, we have the scope row. And then we have TR, T body, not T head, because this is directly above it. So this is actually a sibling of this. And then we come up here, and then we get the odds table. And that's how we get this X path. If you click on it, you can see it has all the fighter names. So we run this code. We see that it is scraping the betting website and the fighter names. And we're kind of we need to solve this one step at a time and kind of debug every step. So what I did is I made a loop for I in range 250 to 255. The final code down here, I actually went up to 301. And then we call driver, WebDriver Chrome, and call it driver. And then this is our query that we want to search for UFC between 250 to whatever index, final index is. We want to implicitly wait so it doesn't throw an error if our computer is lagging or if we get banned. Well, if we get banned, we kind of have to stop. And then you want to get all the links for the sites, because you see that all of these are actually links. Yeah, all of these are links. Yeah, they all have the A anchors. And then we are going to iterate through all of our links and then find the target events / UFC dash whatever thing, because that's how our event is gonna start with. Our link of interest is gonna start with that string. So we use format string, and then we use the curly braces to substitute whatever our I is in here. And then initially we have match as an empty string. So if we iterate through all the links and we have no match, we kind of just print out, hey, we did not find a match for whatever USC number it is. Otherwise, when we do find a link, we open up the page. Well, we use driver get page, and then we break from the loop. And then here we just scrape the names of the betting website. So we use driver to find elements by XPath. And then you kind of have to get good at like using this selection tool. And then we print it out to test our code to make sure it's working. Now we want to actually scrape the odds. Here, when I first scraped this and ran a loop, I started getting error because there's only one column. So let's just work with this one, UFC 260, because there's multiple columns. Okay, so to scrape the odds, we need to find the elements. Let's go with the top row because it's easier to just see where it actually comes from. And we have the class. We have the class td class but.sg, and that is going to be the last one. td but.sg, td but.sg, td but.sg. And this is actually a text, so we need to actually convert it to integer later. So that's why we have this line of code. So we find the element, and we can see that this is the element we want. Yeah, that's we want those numbers. Yeah, you can see it has the grid around all the elements that we want. So we have td class equals but dash sg. So over here we have ampersand at class equals but sg in square brackets like this, and it belongs to td. Above it, this is directly above it, so it is sibling, so we ignore it. So we come here and then we see tr is the parent. So we have tr over here is the parent of td, and above that we have t body. T head is above that, so it's a sibling. So we come across over here to table class Oz table. So we have / table square bracket at class Oz table, and that's how we get the bets list. To get the table rows, we have to look around the code to see how the table rows look differently. So this is a new row. And we see that it looks like this part right here we can use as our table row. It looks like this is the table row, and this is kind of like the column number. So we have a column number and we have row number, and then I don't know what this last part is. But if we look around some more, let's see. Table row. Table row. Yeah, so this is a different table. And we can see okay, so it looks like it's coming in pairs. The first fighter and then the second fighter. So we have 1 2 1 2. And the last 4 digits 2 18 4 9 2. So that might be some kind of event ID. So we're just going to look at, we're going to skip the first 4 characters and then use the rest of it to kind of be the row key. And we're going to see if that works. So I coded up a loop to print out the best square bracket j get attribute data-li and drop the first 4 characters and then see what the rest of it looks like. And this looks like we should have groups of 4 with the same keys. And this is a different row, and this is a different row, and this is a different row. So we're going to use this as the row key. And then we want to see the actual text that belongs to it. So okay, so before we got to this point, we're going to take a look at what bet actually looks like. Okay, so let's not split it yet. Okay, so this is what we're going to get from scraping the data. And then we want to cut off the \n and then whatever the triangle, or maybe we have an up and down arrow. So we're going to split it at the \n. And after we split it, we want the first part of the split, because then if you put in 2, you're going to get something else. So that's the first one. And then this should be the downward arrow or upward arrow, depending on what we have. We are able to scrape all the numbers, and as we traverse across the row, we take the text that we just got, this text right here, we convert it to an integer right here, and if while we traverse across, if we find a larger number, we save it as the best. So we update best from starting with -9999, some arbitrary low number, and as we traverse across, we want to keep the highest number as we go across. Once we get to the end of the row, this will handle the last bet of the row. So elif bets of j, because that's the index, +1. So we check the next one, and we see if the attribute of data li, our key, is different from the current key. If that is true, then we automatically save the best because this is the last one and we can't compare it anymore. And then we reset best to -9999 so we can traverse our new row. But before we do that, we also want to update our key to the next row. Now, if this was the last bet on the page, we will actually throw an error. So above this, I have handle the last bet on the page. So if j equals length of the bet -1, we know we are on the last bet of the page. So we just automatically save it. And then since this runs, we won't get the out of error range down here. All right, so that's how this works. After we have scraped our odds, we want to save our data. So first we make a dictionary of fighter, and then fighter text. That's what we have over here. And then we have the best bet and the best text up here. You can also include the headers, that is the betting site, but I didn't bother to do that. So you have the data frame, and then you just save it as the UFC, whatever the I is, as CVS, and then we don't have index. So I'm going to run this for 250 to 255. And you can see the prompt up here that you have the 251 right here. That's I. And then you have UFC 251, and then whatever string you have at the end, which we don't really care about. We just care about the event, the UFC events. All right, and later on down here, you will see I found some errors. There was no match for UFC 280, and UFC 289 has missing data. So I just had to open it manually and fix it. So 280. Yeah, so it had this error, and then the way to fix it was, okay, so the error came from fighter 12 to fighter 18 did not have any odds. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is missing. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 is also missing. So we just remove those, and that's how I fixed the error. In this tutorial, we will be using Selenium to download all the text documents from this website. This is free for download, and if you click on it, you can see you can download it, but we want to use a bot to download all of it for us. So we will have a WebDriver, Chrome, and we will open up this website, and we will get the URL for this website. After we get the URL for this website and open it with the Chrome driver, we will get all the anchor tags. And after we have all the anchor tags, we will find all the hypertext reference. After we have all the hypertext reference, we check to see which ones are valid. That is, it is not none, and we save it to valid href. From all the valid href, we iterate through all the hrefs, and we find the ones that ends with .txt. And then this is just to print it out so we know what's going on. And then we use driver to get the href. So you can see all of the stuff got downloaded. In this tutorial, we will learn how to handle web browser alerts. That is this right here. So this alert has the OK option or the cancel option. So looking at this code, we will call Chrome WebDriver, and we will get this website, that is this website right here. And then we will find element button ampersand on click my function confirm. And then we will click it. So we want to click on this button right here. We could have used button square bracket ampersand ID equals confirmation button, or we could have used button ampersand on click my function confirm. Doing so will open up this prompt, and we have the option of OK or cancel. To OK, click the OK button. We will use driver switch to .alert.accept. Down here, we will have Selenium use the cancel button by calling the .dismiss method. We can also handle JavaScript alerts. So this is a JavaScript alert. You click on it, click OK, and then you see this result right here telling you we have successfully clicked an alert. This says you click OK. This says you hit cancel, and this gives us a prompt where we can type in something like hello world. And then the text will actually come down here. So to do this, we will call Chrome WebDriver, and then we will get this website right here. And then we will find element by XPath, and we will find this JavaScript button. After we find the button, we will click on the button, and then we will switch to the alert. And then we will print the alert text, which would be I am JavaScript alert, this text right here. And we will sleep so we can see what's going on, and then we will accept the alert by clicking the OK. And you see that we successfully clicked an alert. Down here, we will close an alert by clicking the OK button. We see the text I am a JavaScript confirm, which is this down here, got printed out, and it says we clicked the OK. Down here, we will use the JavaScript confirm. And it says we have clicked the cancel button. Finally, we will send the hello world string to the JavaScript prompt by calling the send keys method. So we will click this, and we will punch in hello world. And then, as you can see, it says we entered hello world. In this tutorial, we will be navigating iframe, frame without the I, and nested frames. So our first code, we were going to go to this website, and then we're going to change the window size, and then we will scroll all the way to the right, and then all the way to the bottom. Now we want to select this frame right here, frame 2, and then scroll all the way to the bottom and all the way to the right. To select this frame, we click this, use Selectors Hub, and then click on the frame that we want. So the frame that we want is iframe 2. So to select iframes, we use the driver find element by ID, and it will be frame 2. So we will select the iframe, and then we will switch over to the iframe, and then we will scroll all the way right and all the way to the bottom. So you can see this is the iframe, and we are all the way at the bottom and all the way to the right. Now we want to click on this link right here. So we will comment this out. And notice that we threw an error. We were able to scroll all the way down and all the way right to the nested frame, but we were not able to click on the nested frame. That is because we have to switch over to the default content. and we were able to click into the nested frame. So let's see that with a pause. All right, we scrolled all the way down and to the right, and then we were able to switch over to the nested frame. Now over here, we want to go into these nested frames. These frames don't have the iframe like over here. Here you can see it is iframe. Here you see there is no I. So to select those, we will switch to frame, middle frame. And the way we get that is by the frame name. So the name of the frame here is frame middle. Frame middle. Oh, name, frame middle. So let's run this code. And we see there's an error. So the reason why there's an error is because we actually have to select, this is a nested frame. So inside this, we were actually in the frame top. So we need to enter frame top before we can enter the frame middle. So let's unselect this. And first we switch to the frame top, and then we can switch to frame middle. And then to know that we are actually inside of it, we will print out this middle content. So by ID content, and then we will print out the text of the content. And this is middle. All right. And then we wanted this to switch over to the frame bottom, but you see we threw an error because we have to switch over to the default content first, and then we can switch over to the bottom frame. And at that point, we will print out the text, which is bottom. So that is how you navigate through nested frames and iframes. In this tutorial, we will be using Selenium to select dates from various online calendars. You want to get Chrome WebDriver and implicitly wait up to 3 seconds for our website to load. And we will get this website right here. Originally, when I first load the website, you will get something like this, and you don't see the calendar. So I will grab the body using the XPath body, find element, driver, and then you will scroll down to the bottom of the page by using the keyboard key end, which will scroll all the way down to make sure everything is loaded. And then we don't have to scroll back to the top, but pressing home will get you to the top of the page, and that's just good to know. Next, we want to find the month, the day, and the year. And we do that by clicking this arrow right here, and then clicking down here, and then looking at Selectors Hub, and we see input, square bracket, %ID month. And for the day, you see it is the relative XPath is /input, square bracket, %ID day. And for year, we see that it is year over here. After we punch in all of our information, you want to hit the create countdown. And this is the relative XPath for the create countdown button, which is right here. And we will click it. When you click on the date, you will see that it has a pop down, and you will see 12 right here. Initially, when I ran the code, sometimes it would get stuck, and it would get stuck, and it looked like this. So the way I solved it was I hit the tab key and was able to move over to the day list. And so we have send keys 12 to get the month that we want, and then we tab to find to enter our day button. I tried using body tab, but that just threw an error. So month send keys tab is the way to go. When I tried to duplicate the error, the website decided to behave, so I'm not going to record that. And we can actually put these two lines of code together into this. So the next for days, I will send keys 25 and hit the tab together, and the year 2025, and then tab over. And then I will wait 2 seconds so we can see what's going on before hitting this click button. Okay, so the next website, we see this, and originally you will see a blank input function, and when you click on the date, you will see that it has this format 01/14/2025. So we go over to Python string f time, and we see that the way to do it is to have %m, lowercase m, /, %D / percent capital Y. If we use lowercase y, we will just get the last 2 digits of the year. So uppercase Y will give you the 4-digit year. So this code, we will be using datetime and time delta from the Python library. For the current date, we just use datetime.now method, and then we can get the next day by adding time delta 1 day, or we can get the previous day, current date minus time delta 1 day. And if you click on the input type for this, we see that the input type right here is type text. So we want it to be formatted in the text string. That is why we went to use string f time. And then we want to print it out to make sure we are doing it correctly, which is just kind of a debugging method. And then you also see that when you actually click on it, you're actually working with the iframe right here. So if you're not familiar with iframes, there's a link in my video in the description explaining how to work with iframes. To work with iframes, you have the iframe right here, and then when you click on it, we see the XPath to the iframes. Relative XPath iframe square bracket at class demo frame lazy loaded, which is this right here. And then we just use driver switch to dot frame iframe. After that, we want to find our date picker. After we have selected into our iframe, we can then select our date picker. So you can see the date picker has XPath input square bracket ID date picker, which is this right here, that you can find by clicking on this and then clicking on inside the date picker. After that, we will click on the date picker, and then we would send the keys, the formatted current text, which is this right here, which you would print out to see that it's correct. And then you hit tab to select your input. So running the code, you will see that it works. And we have formatted today's date. Okay, so for this website, we have this date picker, and we will call WebDriver Chrome again, implicitly wait 3 seconds, and then we will call this website. And we will work with date picker 2. Let's see, ID, date picker 2. So we will find element by ID, date picker 2, and then we will click on it. And then we will use the similar method as before, where we have the current date, we have the next date, and then we have the string of today's date. And then we will print it out to make sure that we are doing it correctly. And it should print out 14. And then we can get the current month by using datetime.now month. There's a bug where if you do current date and it is December, 12 plus 1 is 13. But we don't want 13. We want 13 modulo 12, which is 1, which is January. And then the current year you can get from datetime.now.year. When you click on this and then you open up the month, you will see that it has the options value. So if it has select, we know that it indicates it is a drop down. And then the drop by values, we see it has the month / 2025 single digit up to 10, 11, 12, and then it has, there's no leading 0. So we want that format to / 2025. So the next month, we want to select the next month. So we will have the format string, and then we have the next month, which is this, comes from right here. And then we have the current year, which comes from right here. And we want a / in between, no leading 0. And we want to print to make sure we are doing it correctly. And then when we click the drop down button, which is this right here, for the month selection, we want to select by value, and that will be the next month year formatted, which is this right here. We want to find the month drop down, and we can see the relative XPath is / select square bracket at title change month, which is this right here, and the year would be over here. So you click this, and then you click the year, and then you will see the relative XPath is this right here, which you would put right here as the year drop down. And then we will select from the year drop down. So we will select by visible text string current year. So when we click on it, we see that the option value, and then we have these options right here, 5 slash 5 forward slash whatever month we're on forward slash, and then the year. So we want this format. So select year drop down, which is this right here, and then we want to select by visible text 2025. We can go with the value option, but this is just easier to go with the select by visible text. We want to select by link text, and the day will have the 14 in front. So here you see we have the 14, the link text right here. So running the code, we see that it works. In this tutorial, we will be covering drag and drop and mouse hovers. So what we want to do is drag box A over to box B, and you can see they have swapped positions. So to get box A, we click this, and then we click over box A, and we can see that the ID is column A. For box B, we click on it, we see that the ID is column B. So we need to import action chains from the Selenium WebDriver library, and we need to import Chrome WebDriver and get this website right here. And then we will find box A, box B, by ID, so we need to import by, column A, column B. And then we will call action chains and pass in driver. We'll call it actions, and then we will drag and drop box A over to box B dot perform. So clicking on it, you can see that box A and box B will be swapped. And there you have it. For part 2, we want to hover over desktops and click show all desktops. So the way you do that is you hover over it, you hover over this, right click it, and go over to Selected Hub and copy relative path. And if you paste it in right here, you can see that it is this line of code right here, which is what we use right here. So show all desktops, we will find the element after we have done our hovering by XPath, and then we have this line of code, or this XPath that I have just showed you how to get. So after we get the XPath, we will find the element by XPath. To get this, you click here, and then you click this, and you can see, let me deselect this, click this, click this, and then you see that it is the drop down toggle normalize space desktops, which is what we have over here. So after we find this element, we will hover over it using move to element over to the desktop, and we will perform the hover. After we have hovered over it, we should see the other element that we want, the show all desktop, and then we will perform the click on it. So doing it over here on this website, you can see that it's going to come over to this show all desktop. So there you have it. This one right here, we will hover over this, and then we will click view profile. So to get the hover, we come over here, then we click on this, and then we see that the relative XPath is this class example over here that we have just copied. So we will get WebDriver Chrome, get this website, and then we will get user 1. And then we will hover over it, and then we will view profile. So we right click it, select this hub, copy relative XPath, and then we can take a look and see what it looks like over here. And we will use that link over here. And then we will use action chains to move to the element and perform it, which is this hovering over here. And then after we hover over it, we can move over to this element and then click on it. Now it's going to say not found, which is a bug, but we can see up here it is user /1. So we have performed the actions we wanted. In this tutorial, we will be working with sliders. So we want to call WebDriver Chrome and get this website right here. And then we want to find our slider element. So we click on this, and then we click on this, and if you see selectors hub has input value equals 0, but we do not want that because it is unreliable. Instead, we want to use input type range. So / input square bracket ampersand type range. We will use action chains and pass in driver and call it actions. And then we will click and hold the slider, and then we will move the offset by 50, 0. Move by offset takes in two arguments, the x offset, which is a positive or negative integer, and the second argument is the y offset. So here, the 50, you would actually have to guess, check, and improve to see what value you want. So we will click and hold the slider, move it by the offset, and then release. And finally, we will perform the action that is passed into the action chains. Alternatively, if you read the instructions, it says we can actually move the arrow left and right. So if you click it once, you get 0.5 movement, but if you hold it, you actually get a larger number. So when you send keys with the right arrow, you will actually end up with something like 3, and then we want more precise movements, so we would actually use the action chain. So we will key down the left arrow, immediately key up on the left arrow, and then perform our action chain. So you see 3, and then you see more precise movement to the left. In this tutorial, we will be dealing with resizable elements. So clicking here, we want to grab the handle here, not the actual element itself, but the handle of the resizable element. And we see the relative x path is this right here, which I have copied over here. So we will get the WebDriver Chrome, and we will get this website right here, and we will find the element within the driver that is the handle. And we have this initial size, which we can find using this. So we see that the style, width, and height is 200, 200. So if we print out dot size, our initial size will be 200 by 200. And if we move the handle around, we can see that the height and width changes. So to change the height and width, we will call action chains, pass it in driver, and then we will use drag and drop by offset, and we will grab our resizable elements handle, and then we will stretch it by 200 and 200. So, but since this has a maximum height of 300, it will stop, and we will not perform that action. So our final size, we can get our final size by calling dot size again, and we will see that it will be 300 by 400. So as you can see, the box was resized. In this tutorial, we will be going over Chrome options, such as incognito mode. So we import options, and we have Chrome options right here, and we add arguments. The arguments can be start maximize, which opens up Chrome in maximize mode, incognito mode, headless mode just makes it invisible. We can disable extensions, disable pop-up blocking, make the default browser, print the Chrome browser version, and disable information bar, which is just a notification that says Chrome is being controlled by automated software. So we have Chrome options, add the arguments that we want, and then call WebDriver Chrome, and then pass in options, Chrome options as our argument. And then here I'm just gonna open up my YouTube website. And so you can see we have maximize mode, incognito, and this is my website. In this tutorial, we will be doing data-driven testing. That is, we have a list of username and passwords. For simplicities, all the passwords will be the same. And we want to try to log in using most usernames and the same password. So this is what our comma separated value file looks like. Here's the username, comma, password. And we can convert comma separated values to Excel using Excel. And we can also convert it to JSON using this website right here. So I will copy paste and convert. And here we have the JSON file, which is what I have over here. Going back to the code, we will use pandas, and then we will read CSV or Excel or JSON for their respective files, and then pass that data frame into our run test function. our run test function will call Chrome WebDriver, call it driver, and then we will get the website right here that we want. And then for each row, we will, in the data frame, we will print out the username and password for debugging purposes, and then we will log in. So we want to send keys to standard user. So we come here, then we click on this, and then we can see ID is username. So we will find element by ID, username, and then send keys of the row username. For the password, we come here, and then we can see the ID is password. So we will find elements by ID, password, and then send the password row into this right here. So let's log in manually to see what's going on. And then next, we want to log out. So the logout will be under this hamburger button. So let's click on that. And then we can see from Selectors Hub that we have the hamburger button right here. Well, it's actually different. We could have used this. Where'd it go? And the logout button, we will right click it and then get the Selectors Hub relative XPath. And then we can see what it looks like. So it is this right here, logout sidebar link. And then we will explicitly wait 2 seconds. So implicitly wait. Implicitly wait applies globally. That is, it applies to all the specific elements for all elements, whereas explicitly wait applies only to a specific element. So we will wait until the logout element is clickable using expected conditions, and we will wait up to 2 seconds before clicking out, and then we will call driver quit.